forward.
So, guys, it is, what is the day? It's May 31st, and it's week 3 of CORE4, the last week of mindset. And last week, Brian talked a ton about scheduling and worth and, kind of putting together your skeleton of your schedule, which is huge. And hopefully everybody did all their homework and did the work that we talked about, right? Like the real hard work or the real work of actually getting things done. And how effective and being time effective and things like that. And I don't want to take up too much time with the review, but I'm going to send it over to Brian and Carrie and to tear it up as they always do. So I will mute myself and you guys take control.
Yeah. All right. Well, lovelies, we're going to try very hard to make sure that this is crystal clear, 100% crystal clear. So that this is our last call with you guys during.
Oops. Hold on.
Chameleon muted me.
Sorry.
That hurt my feelings.
I'm really sorry.
That's all right. So this is our last call with you guys during this program, although we may jump on calls in the future. But not to teach, right? So this is the last time we get a chance to instill some things, for you and you. And we wanted to make sure that all of the things we've taught so far become practical. That's the whole key, isn't it? To make this mindset stuff practical. So Carrie and I have for CORE4. We have created this module on daily habits. Now you've created a skeleton schedule. How do you start inserting things properly to maximize your productivity? Right? So, the benefit of everyone in this particular CORE4 program, Forrest, Anthony, Sandy, Emma, is you've all been through MPI. You've all probably read my book. You've all been through a mentor program with either myself or both of us. So you know what the six-pack already consists of. Silence, triggers, imagination theater, recognition, review, and preparation. You already know that. You already know that these are the things that we advise everybody to do every single day to maximize, optimize their mindset, therefore their lives, their earning potential, etc. But we've reduced this down to the basics for entrepreneurs, right? So what we call this is the entrepreneur's high impact. What are the few things? If we were pressed to tell you the few things we would want you as an entrepreneur to engage in every single day that would have the highest impact on your business success, we would say it's these 3 things. So look at number 1. We're going to show you how we as entrepreneurs have combined parts of the six-pack to produce a different way of looking at it all. But imagination theater, journaling, recognition is all part of one thing we would do. And we'll teach today. Another is direction review, and the third is preparation. So from this entire six-pack, we've really reduced it to 3 things, and we've combined 2 things into one. Imagination theater, journal, recognition. Okay, the whole key of why we do that is we retrain the brain. I don't know how to express this with more intensity or emphasis than I have so many times in the past with you fine people and in general. I am so bored of every entrepreneur going to the next conference and figuring out the next way to do a Facebook ad and figuring out the next way to write email copy so that it sells better. Because the bottom line is that you're not going to succeed until your mindset is straight. That's it, that's all. I don't care what you know about Facebook ads or newsletter copy or sales copy or anything else. You have to retrain your brain to be successful. Now, that doesn't mean that you necessarily have a non-successful brain, but again, what most people don't realize is the human brain is conditioned to be negative. It's conditioned to be negative. genetically, biologically, the human brain is conditioned to be negative. So we have to retrain that. And part of that is not just the synapses of the conscious brain, but the language of the unconscious mind. And one of the ways we do that is we count our wins every single day. It's not a cheerleading exercise. It's not just a manifestation of praising our goodness and trying to be joyous and positive, Patty. Counting our wins keeps us on track because we're perfectionistic. If we have 10 things on our to-do list that day and we accomplish 8 of them, guess what most of you are thinking about when you go to bed? The 2 things you didn't do. That's what you're thinking about. You were successful at 80% of what you wanted to succeed in that day, but you are reminiscing and being a pain about the 2 things you didn't accomplish. Counting your wins is an important part of retraining your brain, and it must become obsessive. I don't love the word, but I love the definition. You need to become obsessive about this idea of retraining your brain. When you start intellectualizing in your own brain, your own mental, thoughts that you're not verbalizing, but they're up here. When you start hearing yourself be negative or lack or scarcity, you got to stop it. You can't accept that as allowable anymore. You've got to choose to not allow that. You've got to be obsessive about counting the wins. And I think Gary in particular, I'm sure Camille as well, but Gary, I know because Gary and I have talked about this, we like it, and Gary agrees that when we talk about what we're being in recognition of, what we're journaling towards, what our theater is about, it's metrics. I don't like namby-pamby goals. I don't like it when we talk about we want to live to the highest degree of ourselves. What the hell does that mean? It sounds great, but what does it mean to you? Some people can live in that ethereal space successfully. Most people can't. Most people need metrics. This much money by this date. This many clients by this date. Right? But you might, I'm hearing Sandy right now, well, in mindset level 1, you said this. Right, but this is not mindset level 1 anymore. This is for entrepreneurs specifically. And our belief is that we've all traversed a journey. So for me, entrepreneurs, we need to start counting shit in metrics. Okay? So that takes care of that. The second one is review. Every single day, we got to review where we're going. Because we want to make it TOMA, top of the mind awareness. We want to set our day every day with the complete knowledge of where we're going and what we're doing that day to accomplish that. And we want to review the review. What does that mean? Well, if you put recognition and review together, in the morning we review our goals, which allows us to set our day and what we're going to do that day, what we want to achieve to get us there. At the end of the day, we get to count the wins. And we get to review if it was a successful day or not. And if it wasn't, we don't have to bitch and moan and cry and go suck our thumb and sit in the corner. We get to start again tomorrow, which means we get to decide how to make tomorrow better than today was. That's why review is important. And the last one, before I let you add the commentary, is preparation. This is the one for me that matters more than maybe anything else. The number of entrepreneurs who are too scattered, they are too disorganized, they are not set on a path, they have shiny object syndrome. It equates to how many stars are in the sky. That's how many entrepreneurs are like that. In order to succeed, we have to prepare. What are you doing today? And where is that leading you to this week? And where is that leading you to this month? And where is that leading you to this year? And again, I use the word obsession. Preparation is an obsession for me. I like myopic. because most entrepreneurs overthink. And when they overthink, they procrastinate. When they procrastinate, they self-doubt. And when they self-doubt, they die. There's no success to be had from self-doubt. So a lot of business coaches talk about how to stop self-doubting, how to stop procrastination, and how to stop overthinking. But to us, those are symptoms, right? It's almost like saying, I get the flu every month. And the doctor says, well, here's a remedy for how to stop sneezing. Sneezing isn't the fucking problem. Sneezing is a symptom of the problem. The problem is you get the flu every month. How do I stop getting the flu? So for us, the problem isn't that you overthink. It's not that you procrastinate. And it's not that you self-doubt. The problem is you're not prepared to succeed. And if we solve that, we take care of the rest. So we have to build a system and then shift towards it. What does that mean? The first system you build as a preparatory system may or may not prove effective. Don't overthink it. Don't procrastinate on changing it, and don't start to doubt it. Shift. Retry a different system. You know how many schedules we've had in the 5 years we've been in business together? I would wager 150. Because we're always trying to find different ways of maximizing productivity and effectiveness, always. So don't be afraid of that. Get after it. Okay, do you want to jump into this slide?
Yeah, so I'm going to start from the bottom and go back up to the top because we were fresh right there. The first thing I want to say is, you guys all know because you've been through MPI, so the term dynamic mindset is something you're familiar with, obviously. I want to take the same thing and hold that true with regards to all the tools and the strategies that we're talking about. They're dynamic as well. And it goes to the point that Brian was just saying about schedules. So many people view that if they've created a schedule that doesn't work, it's a failure. And it's never going to work. And that's when the whole overthinking, procrastination, and doubt starts to kick in, rather than viewing our entire life as a dynamic moving part, to be honest with you. So that's the first thing that I wanted to say. I want to also take it back to the element of preparation. When you are preparing your day, that should include everything Brian just talked about.
Yes.
It should include when are you doing your theater, your journal, your recognition, your review. If you are not inserting those things the way you would be inserting, I have to eat breakfast, then you're missing a main point of your foundation.
And Gary doesn't know because she wasn't here last week. That's the skeleton that you all have ready for us this week.
I review.
Yeah, it's all good.
And then, so now shifting back towards the whole theater journal recognition part, obviously, you guys all know this, but I think that it's so important to come back around to this and just a reminder that, your brain is going to dwell. Your mind is going to dwell. You are now in the position with everything that you've traveled already in your mindset journey to really, truly be able to own that. And like Brian said, you should no longer allow your mind to go down the path of choosing negative thoughts. You're in the position now where really and truly you have everything you need to be able to say, this is now a choice. I'm choosing to be the one who's in control of these thoughts versus allowing my bound nature to run wild with it. And then that just brings me to the final point. Sometimes when we talk metrics with entrepreneurs, no, actually oftentimes we get a lot of runarounds. A lot of, I don't want to talk about the numbers. I want to talk about wealth and abundance and so on and so forth. And I want to say in my experience, I've never come across an entrepreneur who has discomfort talking about the metrics unless they have a story attached to it. So just some food for thought. If you're avoiding metrics, if you don't already know that there's potentially a story there, to investigate. That was it.
And by metrics, we mean money. Right? If there's a discomfort in you talking about money and how much you want to make, just consider the notion that you have a story about money that probably is holding you back more than you might realize. Right? Money is not evil. The lust of money is evil. The desire to get up in the morning and all you care about is making money. There's an evil connotation to that. You want to deliver high impact to change lives, and you want to be paid for it. That is nothing but equal value, and that's beautiful. Beautiful. Okay? So, if we are lacking on any of those three things, right, then the pitfalls are that our unconscious story wins, which is a perfect segue because Carrie just talked about if we're uncomfortable talking about money, odds are we have an unconscious story about it, right? So if we are not reviewing, if we are not preparing, if we are not recognizing on a daily basis, whatever our unconscious story is, it's going to take hold eventually and it's going to win, okay? We lose sight of short-term victories. And that is one of the biggest plagues for all entrepreneurs. You know where the ultimate prize is, and you know where you are now. But by day 21, if you're not there yet, you start getting frustrated. Well, that's because your eyes are in the wrong place. You should be counting the small victories every single day and making sure they're relatable as it goes into achieving that end result. So missing out on the short-term victories completely screws the pooch in terms of staying on course, okay? Daily focus is essential. Today is all that matters. Let me repeat that. It's all that matters. It's all that matters. Too many entrepreneurs are fearing what's in the future and using the past to predict it. Not enough entrepreneurs care what the hell is going on right now and how I can maximize this moment. That's all that we need to matter. And that's the pitfall. If we're not recognizing, reviewing, and preparing, we're missing the moments, okay? We oftentimes miss the sense of success. When you get good at number 2, counting the short-term victories, when you get good at that, you start to feel more successful. And that's important. Are you ready for this? Carrie and I would love you to be metric-centric, right? But you cannot use those metrics as your only gauge of success. You can't. Because number 1, sometimes the metrics are in the future. So I mean, if the metric is what you want to make over the next 3 months, but it's Tuesday, well, you have no real gauge, right? And that sometimes can become a problem for people. The other thing that really matters a lot from a mindset perspective is we don't want to get attached to the outcome. Look, if we carry this, we want to make $1 million this year. Now, if we don't make $1 million this year, we have 2 choices. To go in the corner and cry, suck our thumb and say we are never going to make $1 million in a year. That's what happens when we're attached to the outcome. It becomes the seed of our self-confidence. It becomes the identity of our self-worth. But if we're detached from the outcome, then instead of having a hissy fit, we simply say this: okay, we came up $300,000 short. How do we get $300,000 better next year? Now that's the kind of mindset we want to have. And that kind of sense of success happens when you count your wins every day. You start to gain confidence and assurance and worth every single day. So that you're no longer attaching to the metric as the outcome of your worth. Okay? And it allows for mobility. So if we are not doing these things every single day, we have no mobility. If we do them every day, we have mobility. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to speak to Forrest and Anthony because these 2 guys come up, they come to the top of my mind when I think of this. They are part of the idea economy. Forrest and Anthony, am I wrong? You guys have new ideas every 3.5 minutes. And you know what? They're good ideas. They're not stupid. They're not extravagant. They're not ridiculous. You guys have legit good ideas every single day. And because of that, one of 2 things is going to happen. You're going to get strangled and choked by your ideas. Because there's going to be no commitment to follow through. There's going to be no deliberate action plan established and no systems around how to execute them to fulfillment. Or you're going to invoke these 3 things in your day every single day, and you're going to allow it to shift your business model. A new idea should not just go to the pile. if it can be effective today. But as long as you're recognizing, preparing, and reviewing, you can shift your business model in recognition of the idea economy, and that's nothing but a beautiful thing. But if you don't recognize, review, and prepare every day, the new ideas become like a snake coiling around your body. They suffocate you.
Yeah, I just want to add to the whole counting your wins and metrics, because Brian was talking about that, you know, insofar as the wins and how to view it of $300,000 short. And like, it's so important. I think you get this, as you know, we've already kind of touched on it, how counting your wins does affect your metrics in a good way, right? Because if you're counting your wins every single day and doing all the things that Brian was just teaching, you're finishing each day on a better place, a better mindset than you were the day before, right? If you're not counting your wins and you're in a negative mindset and you're predicting the worst outcome possible, yeah, that's going to affect you the other way, right? Because we know that the positive mindset is going to lead you towards achieving those metrics that you have. So that don't view this as just two activities you have to do. These affect your bottom line.
Yes, they do. Absolutely. So therefore, the highest impact mindset tactics that entrepreneurs can evoke are counting wins, reviewing, preparing, right? So if we supplement the word wins for recognize, it's recognize, review, and prepare. So what does that mean? Well, let's look at the wins, which again, just so we're not mistaken, is all part of like imagination, theater, journaling, recognition, right? Okay, so here's how we do it. And it's not the only way to do it, but here's how we do it, okay? Every single morning, Karen and I both have a journal, and we sit at our desk together every morning, and we write out the 3 to 5 factors that we're working on right now in our lives, in our business lives. We literally just write them out. The rote habit of writing out these 3 to 5 things becomes very plastic. The brain starts to synapse with them. The unconscious language starts to fold with them. Okay? The action of writing them out every single day means that we're putting into our unconscious mind a reminder of where we're going in our business life. It also helps us set the day from a top of the mind awareness. What is important today? Right? Is these 3 to 5 factors. Now, the other thing that is the benefit of having your wife and your life partner as your business partner in this sense is that every single morning, Karen and I go for a walk. So our morning, you know, basically when our youngest goes to the bus station, the bus stop to catch the school bus to school, that's, I hop in the shower and 5 minutes later, Karen and I are outside going for a walk. And what do? We walk for about 15, 20 minutes around the neighborhood, and we talk in review. So we have a directional review conversation. Where are we going? What are we doing? What's on tap for today that's going to make that possible? What are we doing today to make that real? I mean, I don't want to speak for you. It's my favorite part of the day. I get very excited about the day at large. People are commenting. Chathead. Where's the chathead? Can you guys give them one example? 7 feet. Yeah, of course, absolutely. We'll do that as well, for sure. So that walk is so directionally orienting for us that we take the big scope of what we're working on, and we also talk about what we're doing that day to bring that big scope into reality. So we look at it from both ends. What are we doing today? And what does that big scope look like? Now, Gary just did a little private chat of let us give you guys examples of what these 3 to 5 factors are. I have no problem doing that. I'm an open book. I don't mind doing it. It's going to take 2 seconds as well. But I agree with Gary. I think it's very, very powerful. Okay? So let me do this. Okay? Can you guys see? You can't read it necessarily, but you see where like my finger is right there? Okay? That's my morning journal. And it says just a few things. Every morning I write the exact same shit. I write by December 31st, 2016. By the way, there's my metric by the end of this year. Number 1, Dr. Brian Grasso. Number 2, 7 figures. Number 3, simplicity. Number 4, warrior culture. Now let me explain all of that because those are my current 4 factors. Okay? And I'll go quickly through all this. Most people don't know because I don't broadcast it. I don't advertise it because it's just a personal thing I wanted to do. But I'm in the process of finishing a PhD. And so you'll never know when I'm finished. I won't have a fucking big party about it. But I enjoy the process of going through and doing the coursework. You'd be very, maybe not surprised to find out that when you're a husband and a father and a business owner, it's really easy to put studying on the back burner every single day. So I only have a few months left of this PhD, and I've decided to finish it by the end of this calendar year. Every single morning I write that out. It just reminds me today is the day where I study. I study every day. It's a very powerful part of my morning to write that out. Number 2, 7 figures. Now, 7 figures to us means something different than it might mean to you. You know, making $1 million is awesome. We've done it, no biggie. But what it means to us is a lifestyle. So when I write down the words 7 figures, it's not just that I intend to make $1 million this year. It's the way I intend to make it. And the lifestyle we have carrying myself as a family. It provokes those thoughts and those emotions. That's how I connotate 7 figures for me. Number 3, simplicity. It goes in line with 7 figures. If it's not simple, I'm not doing it. Because I want my life to be simplistic. I don't believe in the hustle and grind bullshit. I think Gary Vaynerchuk is nuts. I think the people who think he's awesome are crazy. I think you're all going to die of a heart attack and wonder why you place such a premium on making money and not enough on your kids or your wife or your health or the sky is blue or that trees are beautiful. You should stop to look at one once in a while. That's what I think. And Gary Vaynerchuk disagrees. He's allowed to disagree. I don't care. But I like simplicity in my life. And so that is a raving reminder every single morning. That if I start feeling complexity, I have got to rework it because it is not cool anymore. The last one is warrior culture. Warrior culture is my physicality. I don't train to look good. I don't train to be a model. I don't train to have 6-pack abs. And I don't train to be the strongest guy in the gym. I'm a natural fighter. I've been a fighter since I was 9 years old. The words warrior culture to me means simply this. God bless you if you make the mistake of breaking into my house and trying to offend my wife and my kids. I will happily take your body off of your head and let the paramedics clean it up. And I intend to have the ability to do that until the day I die. I don't care if I'm 42 or 99. If you attack anybody in my family, I will absolutely remove your head from your body. And that is something that's important to me. I don't care if I have 6-pack abs. I don't care if I can squat 400 pounds. I care that I have the capacity to be a warrior and be prepared, always prepared to defend if necessary. That's the nature of who I am. So that's a reminder to me that that's an important part of my work. Now, I showed you that little bit, right? That's what I write out every single morning, those 4 things. By December 31st, those 4 things. Those are my 3 to 5 factors. At the end of the day, every single night, I count the wins. I recognize the wins, right? Can you guys see that side of the paper? Okay, all that side of the paper is by December 31st, 2016, number 1, Dr. Brian Grasso. And I take point form notes of what I did that day that moved me closer to being Dr. Brian Grasso. Number 2, 7 figures. I take point form notes of the things I did that day that moved me closer to the 7-figure lifestyle I want. Same with simplicity, same with warrior culture. And at the end of the day, I make sure that I note if there's things I didn't do. that I wanted to do, and I make sure that I do them tomorrow. That is our version of imagination theater, journaling, recognition, counting wins. That's how we do it. And it's unbelievably powerful. Unbelievably powerful. Now, without going too far because of time, do you got anything you want to add there?
I just merely want to say to take note of the formalized aspect of it.
Yes.
Because I think that sometimes, we all have stories in different places, and we all have different strengths and different weaknesses, right? This is formal for a reason. It's formal because, well, let's face it, if it's not, it ends up becoming very easily tossed to the side as something that's not held as a priority in your life.
Yep.
We tend to function, especially entrepreneurs tend to function well within structure when they know where the structure is leading to. So I just want to make that point.
I completely agree. Now look back here, guys. Theater journal recognition. What did we say? It retrains your brain. It rechanges your unconscious language. You learn to count your wins. You become obsessive about it. Obsessive. What did Carrie just say? Make it formal. Make it metric oriented. But look at that. I write the same 4 points down every single day. You don't think that retrains my brain? You don't think it retrains my unconscious language? How many times when I was explaining warrior culture did I say I would happily separate your head from your body? Don't you think that language is chosen specifically? And that's why I repeat it. Because it reminds me of what I want to have the capacity to do. To defend my family to the utmost of causing trauma to somebody who dare offended my kids or my wife. I don't mean offended like call them names. I mean threaten bodily harm. But that language is chosen specifically, and it has a massive retraining of my unconscious mind, right? So that's why we do it. Now, think about recognition. What did we say? Counting the wins and how important it is for us to be able to review the review. Every day, did I do this today in order to get that? And if yes, good on me. And if not, good on me. Now here, let's make it better tomorrow. Okay? I've already talked to you about review. We think you should articulate your review. That's the best possible way for us to phrase it. Anthony and Forrest, every day talk. Preferably at the beginning of the day. And use the same language in your conversation to review where the hell you guys are going in business. And if you don't have a wife or a business partner, Sandy, Emma, you guys recognize from my mentor program, trackers. Trackers are the single most important tool we give people because you're talking to somebody, you're articulating. And in this case, you're being held accountable to it. And that's a very important part of it all. But before I had a wife, I had an email account, an email address that nobody else in the world knew about. Why? Because I would use it to send emails to myself every single day. I would create my own trackers. We believe articulating the direction of you, where are you going, is so powerful. And we've done a lot of things with this, including we've written. Do you guys know that rhyming and words to melody stick in your brain with more egregiousness than not that? And if you ever want to test it, throw on the shittiest Backstreet Boys song at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I dare you to stop singing it. You won't be able to. You'll be singing that fucking song all day long, no matter how much you might hate it. It's because the words rhyme and the music was catchy. So what we've done is we've written poems that encompass our 5 factors. We've asked local musicians to record them into songs. Literally. That, for me, for example, I plug into every single morning while I'm studying. And it plays on repeat, non-stop. So, there's so many ways to articulate. If it's not a conversation, you can, if you don't have a business partner or partner in life, There's lots of ways to do it. Did you want to add some things?
Yeah, I just want to add two quick things. On that note, I one time actually wrote out my entire direction / imagination theater. Like it was like 4 pages long. I actually wrote it out and recorded it into my computer so that I could listen to it without having, like I could internalize it without having to read it. And that was like hugely powerful for me when I did it. The second thing I want to say is just with regards to review. I think something that people often forget is that not every day is going to feel the same.
That's right.
And that's okay. Meaning there's days, where, Ryan and I have like stepped outside to go for our walk. And after like 30 steps of walking, we're like, wow, the flow isn't what it was yesterday, right? But that's where it becomes your diligence to start it. Right? To like say something that elicits a conversation that drives you down the direction that you're going, right? It takes the decision to embark on it.
Yeah. So let me say this, guys. Look at the second point. Follow learning on Right Track or Apply. What does that mean? Every single morning, Carrie and I learn for the first 90 minutes of our day. She reads and I study. And then our direction review immediately follows that. Right, so she learns, I study, then we go for a walk. And we often talk about what we learned during this direction review, and it's a great kickstarter of a conversation. She can't wait to tell me about all the things she learned about in the book she read, and I can't wait to tell her all the things I learned about my coursework. And then, you know what? Sometimes we get to say, that's a great idea, let's apply it. Or, you know what, we're on a great track. The reason I bring that up is sometimes learning for entrepreneurs can be a headache. You read a book and now you want to apply everything, right? Don't get caught up in that tizzy. Now, what we promised was simplicity and high impact. So for this, every morning write out the top, create your 3 to 5 factors. There, done. Every morning write them out. Every evening count the wins that you did in accordance to achieving those. There you go. Number 2, talk to your business partner or your partner every single morning about where you're going in your business. And if you don't have a partner or a business partner, then create a tracker. Type it out, write it out, journal it out. Just on repeat, where are you going with this business? Okay? Lastly, prepare. This one can get tricky and challenging, so I am going to breeze through it. And then make sure there's a lot of time for questions, okay? How do we prepare? And we think this is a great plan. Well, we do it in 3 ways. We create intentions, objectives, and actions. Usually, typically, we prepare for 90 days at a time. That doesn't have to be what you do. Maybe it's a year, maybe it's 30 days. It's up to you. We think a year is too long. We think it's easy to lose focus. We think 30 days is great. We think 90 days is great. Doesn't really matter. Let's just pretend it's 30 days. Your intention is this, the end point, the metric of what you intend to achieve or accomplish at the end of the 30 days. There's your intention. What is the metric? $10,000 in 30 days. 5 new clients in 30 days. I don't care what it is. That's the intention. What's the end point in metrics if possible at the end of the 30 days? That's your intention. Now, to the best of your knowledge, what are all the things you need to do in order to achieve that intention? Create a list. Those are your objectives. Notice how I said to the best of your knowledge. You don't always know everything you have to do, but you do know some things. So create as big a master list as you possibly can that essentially is all the objectives you'd have to do in order to achieve that intention. Then, lastly, break the objectives down into action steps. This is my favorite example. People often say that their intention is to make $5,000 a month online. And then they can't figure out what the objectives are to that. So for the actions, they say things like build a website. Anybody ever built a website before? The number of procedural things that have to go involved. Building a website's an objective. Graphic designer, secure a URL, decide on a platform. I mean, I could go on and probably make it 17 points deep. That's why we break objectives into smaller action steps. Because you know what happens is that entrepreneurs who prepare badly will get to Tuesday and say, oh, on Tuesday I'm going to build my website. Until they get to Tuesday. And they realize that you're not going to build a website on a Tuesday. It's a methodical process that takes a little bit of time and some engineering. And so they realize that, then they start to self-doubt. So they start to procrastinate, then they start to overthink. And nothing gets done. And then they come to Gary and Camelia and they say, Core4 didn't work, I want my money back. And we say, yeah, well, next time prepare. Prepare to succeed. It's that easy, right? So create the metrics of the intention. Build an objective list of things that have to go into being accomplished in order to fulfill that intention, and then take all the objectives as best you can, splice them down into action steps. What does that leave you with? It leaves you with a very simple task list to simply insert every single day into your newfound schedule. Here's an example. My intention is to perform 5 live seminars at joint venture facilities. So I have a seminar, I want to perform it live at facilities geographically proximal to me that I want to entertain as joint venture facilities. That's my intention. So by 30 days from now, I want to have either booked or actually performed 5 live seminars at these facilities. Well, in order to make that happen, my objectives could be contacting 10 to 15 facilities, because some are going to say no. I have to define my unique selling proposition in 6 words or less. Why would they want me to come to their facility and speak to their members? What's in it for them? Create follow-up systems. So it's not just a one and done. I want to create an ongoing relationship with this facility. So I have to include time frames of what does that mean. Am I going to send them a card as a thank you note? Am I going to do a follow-up phone call? Am I going to send them a gift basket to say thank you? How does it work and what does it look like? I'm going to definitely conceive it, but I'm going to outsource C to staff if I have staff. Then I got to build the presentation itself. I got to build the back end. What am I trying to sell? For how much? What do the payment plans look like? And then I got to subdivide all of that into individual tasks. That's the very last part of it all, right? Now that seems like a lot of work, doesn't it? It seems like, oh man, I just want to run and gun and hustle. I want to just wake up and go, man. Cool. It doesn't work. Sorry to tell you, it doesn't work. You know why I know it doesn't work? Because you've tried it. Almost every entrepreneur has tried it that way, including us. It doesn't work. You know what works? Spending one full 8 to 10 hour day building your next 30 to 90 days. And then every single week, all you've got to do is use a little common sense, look at your action steps and your objectives, and select 5 to 20 of them every single week. Put them in. Okay, well, on Monday, this. Tuesday, this. Wednesday, this. So on and so forth. And then you count the fucking wins every single day. And every morning you wake up, you remind yourself where you're going in the big picture. You execute those few things you have to do that day. And every night you count your wins. And man, now you've got a sense of success. Now you've got momentum. Now you keep it engineering. That's how it works. So people always say hustle and grind is the most important thing. I don't think it is. Maybe in the beginning of your career, you just got to do shit. You got to throw some poop at a wall and see what happens. But to go from here to here, that's a different animal. And that animal is all about getting up in the morning with a very clear image of what to execute that day. That's it. Then count the win, go to sleep, and do it again. That's preparation. Did you want to add?
No, I have nothing to add to that.
Are you sure?
Yes.
So do this. Add wins, review, and prepare to your daily and weekly schedule. There you go. You created the skeleton schedule last week in order to put who first. Correct? Who and why go above how. Well, your wins, your review, and your preparation need to be put into your schedule where you want them. Not crammed in where you have a little extra space. That was the whole point of creating a skeleton schedule that put who and why first. Now we're going to teach them the next day and the next week. Do you want to take you to this first?
You can start.
Okay. So let me add the last bastion to all of that, okay? Every afternoon at about 3 o'clock, except for Tuesdays, because we're on calls. And every afternoon at 3 o'clock, Karen and I take a nap. And just before we go to sleep, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we do NDP, next day prep. We prepare our tomorrow. We make sure that everything is organized in terms of when we're waking up, what we're doing first, what action steps are we taking that day. Our entire tomorrow is built at around 3 o'clock every afternoon the day before. And we all do it our own way. I do it on pieces of paper. See, look at that's tomorrow. At the top there, you can see it says Wednesday. Right? That's my tomorrow. This is my today. What's the difference? Well, when I accomplish something, when I finish it in a given day, look at that at the top. What does it say at the top? Tuesday. When I accomplish something, I take my trusty highlighter and I highlight that shit out. Done. I get a visual as the day goes on for my accomplishments of the day. And that breeds a sense of success. It gives momentum to every single day. I wake up executing because I don't wake up. Okay, most entrepreneurs, you ready? Alarm goes off at 6. Yeah, let's do it today. What should we do? Sound familiar? You can't succeed like that. Every day is about execution. So the last thing we do before we take a nap every afternoon is prep tomorrow. Okay, did you want to add to that?
I do just want to add quickly to say that on Tuesdays, because we take a nap, or we don't take a nap, you might have thought, well, where do we do next day prep? We make sure to do it in the morning before we even get on call. The point that I'm making from all of that is that's not something that should be overshadowed ever.
Yep.
Like if we're traveling or what, I was traveling last week, right? I left Thursday. We had done next day prep for Sunday on Wednesday night to make sure that it was laid out and that we didn't miss anything. So
Great point.
you should be well aware of what you have coming up so that you're not missing that step.
And don't bullshit yourself. Really don't do it, okay? Don't do the, oh man, I'm traveling for the next 2 weeks. I can't prepare. Yes, you can. We do. Absolutely you can. Oh, I'm way more free-spirited, man. I just like to go with the flow. And so like all this like preparation shit, it bogs me down. Just look at us visually for a second. Do you know 2 bigger free spirits in the world than us? Are you kidding? We were born in the fucking clouds. You know what we've learned about free-spiritedness? It needs structure. If you are a free spirit, and we are, and you don't have structure, you know what you actually are? You're full of shit. That's what you actually are. You're not a free spirit at all. You're full of shit. Free-spiritedness needs to have direction. It needs to have a flow. It needs to have some structure to it. So don't use I'm a free spirit, I'm a loosey-goosey, go by the seat of my pants kind of person. It's ineffective. And you're an entrepreneur, which means you can be wild and crazy and free-spirited just like us, but you can't pretend that you're going to get success as an entrepreneur being that way, because you're not. It's a predictable path. So let me go on. You're edging, obviously.
I just want to add real quickly that when we travel, we do next day prep when we're on the road.
Yeah, of
So
course.
if we're somewhere for
skeleton schedule now that you've just inserted wins, review, and preparation into, in addition to next day prep. That becomes the thing you produce or prepare every week. So I'm a paper and a pen guy. I mean, I have a binder. This is my life. My life's in a binder. I like it that way. These are the tasks I need to accomplish this week. As you can see, 4 things already done for this week. It's only Tuesday. I rock. But that was a joke, but it's not. It's not a joke because I count that shit and I have a sense of success because of it. Right? So next week prep is all about basically getting your skeleton ready. That's all it is. So you get the soil ready, which is your skeleton schedule. And then every day you're allowed to drop a seed into the next day. That's next day prep. I mean, it's a perfect scenario. And I want to go one better to what Carrie said. This happens routinely for us. This coming weekend, we're going to be in Florida. Okay? And our working week has to end this week on Thursday. And I can tell you right now what the last 2 things are going to be that we're going to wrap up with tomorrow, Wednesday, which is our last working day of this week. We are going to do an entire next week prep, starting for Monday. And we're going to do a next day prep, also for Monday. Which means that when we're running the errands we have to run on Thursday, Friday of this week, we can't work. And then we hop a plane on Saturday, we come back on Sunday. Yeah, we'll be bagged, yeah, we'll be tired, but guess what happens? Monday morning, I know exactly what time I'm getting up, and I know exactly what I'm doing that day. Because it'll have been prepared on Wednesday before we left. We do that before vacations. You can think what you want. Call it anal, call it whatever. I'm in this to be productive and to be stress-free and to be not anxious. And all of those go hand in hand. Let me open up the questions in a couple seconds, Dan. I think that's a good one. So for us, before we go on vacation, we prep the week, we prep the day we come back. Right? It's just common sense. So we want you guys to do that. Here's the last thing we want you to do. Give it a shot. Don't overthink it. Take action. Learn by doing, not thinking. You have your skeleton schedule now. Drop in, recognize, prepare, and review. Drop in the next day prep and get active on it. Don't overthink it. Don't ask yourself too many questions. Take action. You're going to learn by doing this, not by thinking about it. Okay, so let me start by stopping share. That sounded fun. Start by stopping share. You know what? Can we just verbally do it? So Anthony, is it okay if we unmute Anthony? Because it's a great question. I just want to hear it.
Yes, sir. So the question that I asked is, when you guys are prepping for the next week or going over the day, are you doing it at night, or are you guys doing that in the morning together? How does that work?
Fantastic question. We've changed it 1,000 times, right? Right now, it's every Friday morning. From 5:30 a.m. to about 6:30. Doesn't take us more than an hour. We literally sit and prepare the entire next week. The skeleton of next week. So just so you know what that looks like, because to finish the example, I take my agenda and I literally write on the top of a brand new page Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I put in all the skeleton facets that you guys have put in our who and whys. They get put in. every day, Monday through Sunday. That's the skeleton ready. And then we talk about any idiosyncratic things or important things that are coming up the following week. And then we're ready to go. Then every day it's the next day prep. Does that answer your question?
Yes, very clearly. Real quickly, is we have a kind of like a task manager that's supposed to definitely help us out on that. I don't know. I take responsibility because I don't know if I've been, very clear. It's kind of been more of like, oh, this thought came. Can you help me with this? We don't even have a weekly thing set up with her. She's coming in and checking out these videos and everything, and obviously she's blown away. Would she be the one that we would run this past? I mean, obviously me and Forrest would run it past each other as we've been doing daily, but not anything on this level. I mean, this is a whole other level.
Well, that's a great question, and I'm going to answer it in 3 ways. First, I'll say Gary and Camelia are masters of systems, so they're definitely your resource for that. Number 2, I don't think there is a right or a wrong. I think there's your way, and that really, really, really is important, right? But let me just add a but to that from our perspective, okay? It doesn't mean what we're about to say is right for you. It means it's right for us. There's a few things that I'll never outsource, ever. My time is one of them. My time, my business. My time, my problem. My time, my determination to make more effective and productive. I don't rely on anybody to make my time effective. That's my job, and I take that job very, very seriously.
I just want to add to that I think sometimes when we're looking to outsource things like that might be, I don't know like what you guys have going on, but that might be a root of a greater organizational structure that you feel you need someone to come in and manage tasks for you, may be indicating that has to be cleaned up first. Because let me tell you, once you have order and structure to it, you're going to be like, why do we have someone managing this for us?
Yeah.
So just consideration.
Well, like I said, there's not a way, there's your way. But I love what Carrie just said there, so we build on it. But I want to say that it's not because we think you're doing it wrong at all. Just we live by a notion, right? Is it a rescue job or is it a proactive job? And those are 2 different things. A lot of entrepreneurs outsource stuff because they feel like they need to be rescued from it. Marketing is one of them that entrepreneurs are classically outsourcing. Time management and your own schedules are other things that entrepreneurs tend to outsource, but they do so from the driver of they want to be rescued. Somebody come and fucking clean this up for me because I am confused, right? And I'm not saying that is what you guys are going through, but that happens a great deal. But I will say this. We have a task manager. We don't meet with her every week. That sounds like one big rescue job to me, man. It sounds like something like, I hope this bitch figures shit out for me because I don't know how to do this. Now, I'm not accusing you, but can I tell you, we've been there. We have outsourced so many things in the hopes of escaping and not like having somebody else pick up the mess for us. So again, we don't say that that's what you guys are doing, but it's something to consider for sure. If somebody is in charge of my schedule, damn Skippy, I want to talk to them on a regular basis. Rescue, yeah. Sometimes it's just someone saying the right words at the right time. You know what I'm saying? Carrie's the one who brought up the concept of rescue to me not long ago, a couple of years ago. And it helped me realize that a lot of what we were outsourcing was a rescue job. That was really powerful when she conceived that, right? So again, that's just. But again, guys, I want to reiterate: there is no right way, there's no wrong way, there's your way. But there's a few things in the world I would never outsource, and my time is one.
That's a great question. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Oh, really good girl. Can I tell you something? And I apologize to interrupt, Camelia. I just want to add this. And I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I actually see from call 1 to call 2, at the end of the call, I saw a lot of excitement and eyes. And I'm going to tell you right now, what I see a lot of is fear or concern or stress. And that's okay. I'm just curious if there's a reason for that and if there's something you want to talk about. I mean, we're here and we have some time. So if I'm wrong, but that's what I see right now.
If I can add, yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's you guys are just so clear and right to the point and crisp on what needs to be done. So I'm kind of like, I'm an ex-football player, so obviously I love planning and executing, but never been able to really do it in my life. You know, it's always been so disjointed. So, yeah, there is definitely a fear of being able to take down this game plan that's ultimately going to be able to, you know, bless, you know, everybody as far as, you know, with us doing seminars online, all these great things that we're doing, and not be so disjointed. For myself, I'm speaking clearly for myself. And as I feel like I've, in a sense, sometimes been a hindrance to getting things done because I just have so many great ideas, right? And never really had a plan like this so clear. Okay, hey, if you have an idea, there's nothing wrong with it, but hey, this is how you write it down. This is front of mind awareness. This is how you get to it. It's okay. Don't sit in the corner and be a baby. You know, all these great things. But I know what it'll end up being is which is so great with this is I can always go over it time and time again. So I'm already going to watch the video, but you're so right. I was going to make it a rescue job for my assistant to watch the video. And let me get your thoughts on that when obviously I can't make an assistant be a 10 like I am. Right? I really love what I do, and I can't make her love what I do. Maybe I can get her to a 6 or 7, but if it's not her passion per se, I can't. So, no, but yeah, that's where a little bit of the fear comes in.
Sure.
But I'm excited because I know, like you said, with repetition, it'll become a part of the subconscious, and now nothing to wake up and go, hey, Forrest, this is my plans. What do you think? And he'll be like, hey, well, I think we should do it this way, that way. Then at the end of the night, hey, 15 to 20 seminars or all these different types of things. You know, I talked to Gary, and I just got a text back. I put my phone on airplane mode so I could hear just the genius in this call. But somehow, because I got it connected to my computer, it went to my computer, and it texted me on my computer. My computer goes ding, so then I look, and the lady from Genentech, which is the biggest biotech company in the nation, says, hey, I just talked to, what do you call that, compliance. They're very excited. Let us meet Thursday or Friday to make this thing happen. And I'm like, oh, wow, this could be great. This could be 1,000 employees. And, you know, we could say, when I start off with 300K and make 2.5 million or however that works. So my mind starts going off on all these. And I'm like, oh, damn, I need systems. Yeah, calm down. I know, calm it down. But, yeah. I'm just so glad that, you know, I took copious notes. But I know that the way I'm going to have to do it is really watching it continually over and over again because it's a blueprint on what I haven't been doing. And that's why the fear is rising up in my eyes. But the fear is actually going towards it, though, you know, and not to make excuses on why.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Because this is the non-sexy part of business, right? The sexy part is the fun part, the ideas and the making some money and putting it out there. Like there's a lot of fun in that. The back office work is way less sexy and therefore way less fun. But you know, it's what makes it's what makes it go from hobby to legitimate career.
Absolutely.
Right? Most entrepreneurs they don't like to hear this. I didn't like to hear it when I came to a realization of myself. I was not an entrepreneur for a period of time. I was a hobbyist. And that's not a career. Right? So that's I mean, good on you for seeing all that.
You know, I just want to add, because Brian and I have been there before where we have like so many oars in the water and the fear of pulling some of them out in order to steady the boat, it was unsettling, right? But, you know, having been there and where we are now, let me just say that like this stuff, like Brian said, it's not sexy stuff, but that's the foundation that you're building all the layers on top of, right? So it feels a little bit like a bee in a honey net, a honey pot at the moment, right? But just if you can kind of remain calm and start to sort it all out, it's amazing what it does.
I love that point very much, okay? Because I was going to raise it, I decided not to, but I will now. Sometimes, like, look, this is natural law. We didn't invent this. This is, look at nature. everything you can think of in nature. Forrest and Anthony, you guys are in California. You know this is better than anybody else in the entire world based on the geography. In order for forests to grow, forest fires have to happen.
Yeah.
You have to purge in order to grow. Because if you don't purge, you've got a lot of vinage and broken stuff that isn't working and operationally well done and blah, blah, blah. And it stagnates growth. It chokes growth, right? So, for you guys, I was going to say, I would love you to consider over the next few weeks working with Gary and Camellia, of course, depending on what they say, but don't be afraid to pull some of the ores you have in the water out.
Yeah.
Right? I can speak candidly. I hope no one, I worked with Em on a private mentorship, and Em, I hinted at this 13 dozen times, but never came out and said it because I sense your resistance. Close your gym down. I don't care who you think is depending on you. Close it down because you have other ways of making better money. And that's just the way it has to be sometimes. We have to take an ore out to put an ore in. So, Gary, I'm going to shut up so you can talk now.
No, me, I don't. Like Carrie, Brian. Go ahead, Carrie. No, go.
No, I didn't go. I was just go ahead.
Like we all said at the beginning, so Brian said there seems to be a little bit of fear in everybody's eyes in this call, right? So like we said at the very beginning of this course, right? This is the MBA, right? And right now, y'all are seeing the back end of what really goes into starting a business and running it successfully. And sometimes at this point where we are right now you can have that feeling of, oh my God, I gotta tie my sneakers up and I gotta be committed so I can get the result. My journaling has to be formal. I have to have, I need to do these things, right? Obviously be dynamic and all that stuff, right? But there are important things that need to get done if you want to hit a specific level that you want to hit. And I don't know, Brian and Carrie, you guys are the experts on this, but having that fear in their eyes right now maybe isn't so bad.
It's a great thing.
I think it's better than the excitement.
Yeah, it's a great thing. Yeah, and that's not, of course, no one's happy when everyone's upset or scared.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, it's a bit of a come to Jesus moment, isn't it, boys?
A little bit.
Boris, did you want to add something, buddy?
Can you guys hear me?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I feel great about this lesson and overall. I'm excited about it. I don't know if I'm fearful. I feel more excited, and I have done a lot of these components and parts in the past in bits and pieces. You know what I mean? For example, I had like the Google spreadsheet. I learned this from back in the days when I was managing a martial arts center. Right? I had all my things that I needed to get done, my top things for the outline for the year or whatever, my bigger goals, and then it would be all chunked down, and it'd be chunked down into the tasks and who was responsible for those tasks and how they all met up, and then how it all lay down into daily actions. And then the next step was to break it down half hour by half hour, every little thing. And it was all color coordinated, very organized, but you get away from things like that that at one point were working. So this brings me back to things that, I just know work, but you put it all in order where there's so much more to it. And it really brings what you say about simplicity plus consistency equals success. I feel like this was all of that.
Yes.
Underneath, right?
100%. This is what makes simplicity plus consistency. You're absolutely right.
I definitely
close today's call with exactly that quote as a reminder. It's like you felt I was going there, and I love it.
Yeah.
Scheduling is a personal involvement. Like it's how you want to do it. Color coding, Excel documents, whatever. Simple to you is not simple to me, and vice versa. So there needs to be permission given to make this yours. Okay. But remember the equation. If it's not simple, if it starts to feel complex, it's not right.
And that's what I was going to say. I'm going to start writing things down because I always felt better with writing.
Yeah.
I always felt when I put it into the Excel spreadsheet and everything, I would actually kind of
I don't know. There's something about the energy of it wasn't right for me. I think I felt better with the notebook thing. And so that's why I'm going to switch to that. I'm going to try that out. I appreciate that. And in terms of like asking for money back, I feel like I already got my money's worth in the first 3 lessons. So no, don't worry.
You know,
Thank you.
Scheduling the Google Doc thing. You know, Brian and I, we have multiple layers to our scheduling just so that we can keep track of everything because we do have a lot going on. We have a whole Google Doc with our schedule and our system in it that Brian doesn't even know what it looks like. Like, he doesn't even know what it looks like because I created it based on what I understand. And it's our guiding light for our schedule, but he doesn't need to see it because it just complexifies things if he tries to understand it, right? But we both write our daily schedules down. So that's just another element of making it your own. Know what works for you and don't feel the pull to have to do it that way because someone else is doing it.
Yes, and that could be like the assistant that we're talking about, Anthony. That could be her thing. Is like she takes what we create and then puts it on a formal piece that's a guiding light to the team and that kind of thing. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let me, because this is the last thing I was going to say. And it's important. You might want to write this down. Otherwise, just remember the equation. Okay, simplicity plus consistency equals success. Now, the second it does not feel simple, okay. The 2 factors you want to look at in order are assess and adjust. If something stops feeling simple, number 1, assess it. Have you been full of shit? Are you making it more complex than it needs to be? Is your bound nature being provoked? That's why mindset's a huge part of this, okay? If you feel comfortable after assessment that it really is, there's something complex that shouldn't be there, adjust it. Start to play with factors to change it. And you might not pull the right swing the first time, so play with it again. Adjust. Assess, adjust. Always. If things stop feeling simple, assess and adjust. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, consistency. Okay? Consistency. If consistency stops happening, or it doesn't even start, meaning there's no consistency, the first thing I want you to check is your discipline. Sometimes there's just no way around it, and there's no meek way to say it. Pull up your fucking socks and get to work. That's the first place you got to check. Are you preparing to get this shit done? And if you're not executing, well then start. I mean, I don't know how to say it. Look at, Anthony, I read your comment, and Forrest, your message, your comment was so sweet, and I so appreciate it. But I'm not a shy guy. And so I will say this, in the last 6 months, we have had more than one person refuse to pay the balance of a massive price tag for programs just like this. And exactly who did they claim was the problem? Me. I'm the guy who didn't deliver the service I was supposed to deliver. I got thick skin. I could give a fuck. But those kinds of people will never, ever, 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 ever succeed. Because they're too busy being victims and blaming other people. That's why I say, if you're not being consistent in doing what you're supposed to do, then pull your fucking socks up and do it. And don't blame Camelia or Gary if you don't. That's number 1. Check your discipline first. Okay? If you believe you're trying your hardest to be disciplined on a consistency basis, the next thing I want you to check is your skeleton. Change it. Change the skeleton. Change the order of when you do review, when you do wins. Change the order of how you do wins. Forrest and Anthony, last week, you guys said, yeah, we were just at our favorite taco joint. We came over here, and this is what we were talking about. And that's exactly the kind of shit I like. Maybe at that taco shop every night is where you count your wins. I don't know, right? But if you're not being consistent with preparing, recognizing, and executing, if you're not being consistent with that stuff, first check your discipline. If you are really trying your ass off, then change your skeleton. We have 1,000 times changed the order. What even more so, and this applies to Emma, and applies to Sandy, not so much Forrest and Anthony. Do you know when we often change the skeleton of our schedule? When the seasons change. We live in Canada. So from December to April, we're not going outside. And it gets dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's so fucking cold outside, I can't think. So, going for a walk at 8 o'clock in the morning is not happening. So we change the order and the pattern of our skeleton to meet the climate we're in. So just remember, simplicity, assess, adjust. Consistency, discipline, and adjust your skeleton. Those points are ridiculously important because you will get friction. Shit's not always going to work, and now you know how to fix it if it doesn't. There we are.
Wow, that was great. Any final thoughts, questions, comments? Good. That was a lot of stuff. The last 3 weeks have been huge. And Gary and I have been commiserating in the background over here. And next week we were supposed to start a new section. We're not going to. We're going to go back and review all of your homework. We want you to come with questions. We want to know what your intentions, objections, and actions are for the next 30, 90 days, however you define it. We want to know what your system is that you've defined that works for you. This next week will be a call all about the work, pulling up your socks, the work that you need to do to get done to get us to the next part of the CORE4. One of our 4 is accountability. Next week is an accountability call. So come prepared.
I was just going to say that.
I really like that.
Yeah. Now, there's also another little twist that we've added to CORE4, which I think you all will appreciate as well. As you know, we're going through mindset, then financials, then sales management and marketing. We have a special guest who will be teaching the marketing component to you, and that's Eric Ruth. He has agreed to actually teach marketing to you guys, but he's going to teach it to what you need. So I don't think it'll be next week, but probably the following week, Eric will be on the call with us, and he is going to brainstorm and ask you all questions about where you currently are in your marketing, what your needs are, what you've done, what you haven't done, where your struggles are, and he's going to develop the curriculum based on that call. So that's really exciting. I think that's going to be awesome stuff because, again, this is a program with curriculum built to help move you guys forward specifically, and we didn't think a generic marketing session would work for you. So 2 exciting things that are happening. Next week is all about accountability, and then the marketing is going to be developed specifically for what you all need based on a exploratory call. Gary, final thoughts?
Yeah. And the beautiful part about all of this, guys, is that this today is week 3 out of 16.
Right?
We have so much more to go through. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And I'm very excited about it.
Okay.
Call done, ladies and gentlemen.
Call done.
That's when we're
Yeah, go ahead, please, Sarah. Well, sorry, I'm have to interrupt Brian Grasso really quickly. I'm sorry. I want to thank Brian Grasso and Carrie Campbell for the first 3 weeks of this, which is very awesome.
I so dug it. Thank you, guys.
Now go ahead. Sorry, sir.
No, well, financials, marketing, system, structure, mindset, skeleton, schedules, blah, 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 blah. Do the work to make it fucking work.
Call done.
Yes, please.